with you,
Well, before Chris, before you go, honestly, your monologue should be a reference guide. I hope after this program you will send a copy for us to distribute and for it to get right to Chiruma's desk, because I was working on the piece and it seems as if you just took everything from what I was thinking and you've done it so well. And that is the warning alarm that we must sound. While we encourage, we should also know we don't minimize the strength of the dictatorship that we've lived under for more than 4 decades.
absolutely. I very much appreciate that. Put a lot of time in doing this, and I want to believe that those who listen and channel messages to him can do that. But you are right. I will get a copy out after the broadcast for others to distribute. But since you started, let me come back to you, Comrade Ebony. Chiroma comes out and declares himself the legal and legitimate president of Cameroon. As I spelled out in there, we have seen that before. We've seen the movie before. We saw it in Frondi, and you were an active participant in what Frondi was trying to do. We saw it in the Maurice Kamto in 2018. He ended up going to jail, coming back and doing nothing, in spite of all the momentum that we saw. As we see today, again, in my monologue, I said, that is not enough. Please articulate as vividly as you can what Chiroma's campaign must be doing right now.
Okay, the first thing I want people to realize is that you are a very strong Amazonian. I am. And many of us who are reflective have not used our Amazonian stand to say, oh, we don't have any interest in what is going on in La République du Cameroon. So I want people to see us as a people who are very flexible, determined but flexible to see good things happen. And we don't see our movement like something that is in an island that we don't have to form partnership and collaboration. 1992 began this way, with everybody seeing it very clearly that from the one. But if I put the two together, I am feeling a sense of firmness that seemed to be generating from Chiroma today than we saw with Frundi. Frundi took the first step of claiming victory, but the next step, I remember we're having calm meetings in my house in Bonaberi in Douala, and always in contact with them when they were under house arrest, and we're pushing him to declare government. So Frundi's concern was that if he did such a thing, most of the francophones that he would want to put in the government they would refuse. They would be afraid, and they would refuse to say that they don't have anything to do with what Frundi is doing. So, like you said in your monologue, the dictatorship is always very structured to leave out crisis. They always know that they can wear the people down. They can wait for the time. Normal crisis would go about 7 to 8 weeks, where there is disequilibrium. The equilibrium is shaken, and then there's disequilibrium, and then eventually the equilibrium will resettle, and the dictatorship has all the tools to wait for that. It's now up to the people, not only the emotions that we express right now, but also the resolve that we'll get to say that even if it takes 1 year or 2 years to push this guy out, we must do it. We must support ourselves. If it is money or whatever else, but let's declare this is non-violence. None of us is calling for violence. I know that Bia would want to provoke Chiroma to get into a thing that he will take the blame for violence and all the like. Bia has always been violent, but Bia is a civilian, has been a civilian military ruler for that country for more than 43 years. So he has used the military very freely against his own people. And we know that's what he's banking on. But this time around, from what you're saying, and I feel the heat everywhere. We should be able to stand up. You know, one thing with us is that we don't know how to manage success. Sometimes we get very excited and get very emotional, but these are times for deep reflections. These are times that we have to connect, look at ourselves, each of us in the mirror, and say, "This is it. We must get this done."
Patrice, let me get over to you. You are one strong activist in the diaspora. I think Cameroon has tried to come after you for years out there in New York, and you've had to suffer for it, fighting for freedom in Cameroon. Now it seems like there is something in the horizon. Uh, is Issa Chiruma so far doing enough to cling on to that declaration and to sustain the momentum? Because momentum is the one thing needful here. It cannot be a plan for 1 week or for 2 weeks, because beyond they take advantage all the time. They know the story already. They will know that human nature is fatigue after 4, 5, 1 week, and they go back to life. Is it what you see Chiroma planning?
I would like to, first of all, come back to what my brother said. I think it is legitimate to see in what Chiroma is doing a repetition of what Kanto did, which is somehow a repetition of what John Funde did. In a way, it is an assumption that Cameroonian history is a perpetual repetition. Now, my contention there is that, you know, first of all, I don't agree with that analysis. It's not only a matter of wanting to argue here. I would say I fundamentally do not agree with that analysis. Fundamentally. And here is my reason. The reason is that this time around, Issa Tiroma comes at a moment when the Northwest and the Southwest have actually essentially seceded. So Issa Chiroma could even Kamto could even be where he is only because Northwesterners and Southwesterners did not vote. So OC is a non-entity for that reason. The STF is dead for that reason. So essentially, you have two regions that are not counting in a positive term, right? We'll come to the negative term later, but I'm just saying that they did not participate in this election. So, what Chiroma is therefore doing, he is trying to reactivate the North. And here is why it is important. Since 2004, the North has, and it is because of Chiroma himself, I would even say since 1992, the North has willingly decided not to participate in electoral processes, presidential electoral processes anymore. Essentially, they did not present a strong candidate anymore. You had Gaga Aman Aji, who was somehow a token for the North. Otherwise, Chiroma himself was working for Bia. Belobuba was working for Bia. You had other candidates, of parties. Dakule Daisala for sure was working for Bia. The North was let's say, an empty space politically. And as a consequence, Paul Biya will always go to the North to campaign because he knew himself. He had the North for grabs. It was given to him. So what Chiroma is doing, it is not only to put the North back on the map, but to have the North join the Northwest and the Southwest. In other words, when I say the North here, I mean really what we call Northerners. For Cameroon, it is like we say Anglophones. For Cameroon, it is the extreme north, the north, and the and Adamawa. And now the extreme north happens to to have a very large population because of refugees coming from Chad, etc. So what he's doing is to make that north become a secessionist state as well, the same way the northwest and the southwest were since 2017. Now, what Kamto also tried to do, I'm not sure he succeeded in doing that, it was to transform the West into a constituency in that de facto secession. So I will actually contend that the littoral, essentially because of the Mungo and Douala, are participating in that movement as well. So if you do the mathematics, you realize that you have 7 regions we are talking about here, 7 regions that essentially seceded. So you can flip the coin and you will realize that you have only 3 regions that are behind here. So essentially, here you cannot say, because of that calculus, you cannot say that Chiroma is repeating what John Fundi did. The last thing I'm going to say here is that in 1959, which is, Southern Cameroon wasn't part of La Republique yet, but in 1959, you had a peaceful transition of power between the North and the South. Essentially, Amadou Ahidjo became president because of, shuffling of governmental, maneuvering. So you did not have any civil war. You did not have anything. So André Marie Bida gave power to Amadou Ahidjo without any contention. So that is what essentially made Amadou Ahidjo become president. So Biya came to power in 1982 in a repetition of that scenario. That is where I would say you have a repetition. And in 1982, Southern Cameroon was part of the coalition already. So, but still, the same scenario that was done in 1959 was repeated in essence. Biya got power from somebody from the north peacefully. You see what?
Prof, if you can hang on there for a second, you raise a point which I would like Ebene to come in there and let me get his thoughts on it. You suggested that, well, the Southern Cameroons made Issa Chiroma. I don't know whether you mean to say made him not to win or what, or I don't get the point you were trying to make there, because it is very clear from what we have said, and I have said that here with Eric Chinje, with whom I had a debate here on the subject as to whether Ambazonians should go out and vote or not. And we spoke after the elections here on the set, and I asked him, do you have any doubt that those who voted in the Southern Cameroons voted for Paul Biya, voted for Issa Chiroma? He said no. Did they declare Issa Chiroma the winner in the northern and southern zones of Amazonia? Of course not. So the question remains, even if Ambazonians went out and voted, what change would it have made? Ebene, please.
Well, and the only historical trend that we can see from trying to pin that on the Northwest and Southwest is the elections of, when was that? Was that 1991? The legislative election. No, not the presidential. The legislative was January.
I believe.
Okay, 1991 legislative election, when the SDF boycotted the elections.
Right.
You remember that, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you say that, you look at that the whole of Southwest, no, the whole of Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia, the whole of Northwest and Southwest, voted against Paul Biya.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
I remember
That's
that very
how
well.
that's how Achidiachu became prime minister, because he got 20 seats,
Mm-hmm.
parliamentary seats from the Northwest because of the SDF boycott. And then
Mm-hmm.
since the SDF was not running, was not going for that election in in the Southwest, the vote was for Bello Buba.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I remember the Southwest, the whole of Manu voted for UNDP, and there was one seat that came from Southwest, Beto in Tico, UPC.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really, really be very careful to say that the voting, especially in Bamenda, because Southwest is a different ball game, but especially in Bamenda, I don't think that the voting in Bamenda was that significant to make any difference. But I would think that if things were calm and the people were going to vote, the most of our people would have voted for the opposition, and the opposition in this case would have been Isa Chirum.
Patrice, come in there.
Does that answer the question?
I think it does. You make a really good articulation there. And so for Patrice, I just do not think that Ambazonian staying away from the elections caused any dent for Isa Chiruma. Not at all. I mean, we still know he won. We know he
Well,
won, right?
well, I think there is one particular thing about Cameroonian politics.
Okay,
It is all of us know that those elections are rigged. All of us. But at the end
correct.
of the day, we still count on those elections to make statements. Because when you say that Isa Chiroma will have won, etc., it means essentially you are saying that those numbers have a value. You see, it doesn't make any sense. Either elections have no value or Chiroma will have won. So what I'm saying is that as far as Ambazonia is concerned, I don't think elections have a value at all. I think
Okay,
what is important is the following. It is that
yes.
let us take the best case scenario. Issa Chiroma becomes the president of Cameroon, which will restore a political order I was describing before, north-south, excluding the Grand West, essentially excluding Amazonia. It restores that order. Now, what will be the first topic on the table of President Issa Chiroma? Topic number one. I think it will be Amazonia. That will be topic number one. Now, the question will be when Ambas, Southern Cameroonians, or Anglophones come in front of Issa Chiroma, the question will be okay, what do you want? If the answer is we want federalism, Issa Chiroma will say, I am a federalist already. So you don't even need to convince me. Let us have a new constitution which will enshrine federalism as being the basis for the Second Republic of Cameroon. Now the problem there is the following, is that Ambazonia just fought a war of independence during 7 years of a bloody war.
Actually,
So
9 years.
9 years. So the consequence will therefore be that Ambas will have jettisoned their own possibility when they are coming on the table to make their case for independence. You see what I'm trying to say? I am saying that by insisting on votes that have no value and giving them value when actually the case for Amba has never been elections.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, you make a great point there. You make go on, go on.
No, I think if one actually buys into the electoral debate, John Fundi, these STF, one is giving legitimacy to a farce. And yet the question, it just seems to me, for some Cameroonians in general, is not federalism because Chiroma agrees with it already. He becomes president, Cameroon is going to be federalist. Full stop. So we'll have a new constitution because the constitution of 2008 is a farce anyway. So we'll have a new constitution, we'll have a new republic, and that republic is going to be a federal republic. Now, the problem is that thousands of Amazonians did not die for that. Did not die for that.
Correct.
So if now Ambas come on the table of Issa Chiroma and start talking about federalism, they are betraying the people who died for the war. That is what I'm saying.
Let
Thank
me ask
you.
you.
I
Let me.
think,
Okay.
did Ibini say something?
Now, what I was going to say is that as much as Patrick is saying that the problem of Ambazonia is not elections, we, the Ambazonians, are respecters of rule of law and democratic principles. Before we got to Ambazonia, it took a long time, decades, because we're working with existing laws, just trying to get the system to respect its own laws and commitments. So one of the paths of getting us to get where we are was for us to develop some political maturity that we could have also used elections to get what we want.
There you go.
You see what I'm saying? But
Totally.
the elections are of no substance since they are not respected. The incumbent would always win. So don't forget where we are coming from. We did not just jump from somewhere and say we are Ambazonia. We respected every kind of commitment, no matter what the errors were, in attaching us to La Republique. And we wanted to play by such commitments, whether they were flawed or not, for a very long time.
No, but
And if
my brother, because I will not let you come back to Lamentations, because
No, you were. That's why I came here, because Patrick, you're my friend, and
yes,
even intellectually, we Anglophones and Francophones, we always have that difference. In the
yeah,
90s, when we were advocating for a return to federation, there were Francophone intellectuals who went to school in Canada, in the US, who accused us of wanting federalism because we wanted to run away with the oil.
no, here is why
So
I'm not going to.
as much I'm very always trying to correct you this time now, because we have the opportunity,
Yes,
because part of what we have to in Cameroon, where we have gotten to this place, is the dishonesty of Francophone intellectuals, with some of our Anglophone intellectuals too.
no, listen. I would like us not to come back to the wall of Lamentations, because what we have on the table here now is a new chapter. So for me, the question is less what happened in the past, but how can the new table that one has, the new covenant that one has now, bring forward the thing that people died for? That is why I'm saying let's not go back to the wall of Lamentations of who did what.
I agree, Patrick. You are the one who brought 1959, right, to justify something, and I'm bringing the past to justify the present.
But let me come in there. Let me come in there and say something, because Prof. Nganang brought this subject of federation on in the advent of Issa Chiroma. One problem that Issa Chiroma will have, Prof. Nganang, is any effort to think that he can tell Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, what form of state they should have. I think if he is honest and really want the people of the Southern Cameroon to decide for themselves, he would call them and sit them down and say, okay, I am Chiroma, this is what I think, what do you people think? Because in the past, it has always been the regime telling Southern Cameroonians what they want, what kind of GCE they want, what kind of legal system they want. They give us special status. They appoint chiefs and regional councils for us. All of this, and nobody is consulted. I just hope that Issa Chiroma would not have the same mindset because it will be war forever in that country. I don't know what you think about this.
I think there is a particular beauty in the moment when he was in Bamenda. There is a particular beauty in that moment when he said he is there um, under your protection. So essentially, that was a moment not only of political maneuvering; it was beautiful. When he apologized, it was beautiful because we have a memory in our memory a very ugly Isachiroma, a very ugly man. So it is actually a man who I'm not even sure you can trust to drink the tea he's giving you to drink.
Yeah.
No, listen, you remember that I was when I was arrested and incarcerated, he was the minister of communication. He's actually the one who was expressing the most ugly things that one has ever heard. And so therefore, mentioning your name is a moment of duty. One can say he has become a turncoat. That is possible, but politics is a gamble, as one would say. Now, the point I'm trying to make is the following as well. It is that Amazonia, Southern Cameroons in general, has a strong voice, but that voice is disseminated in many mouths. The mouths you have around Isachiroma now are the mouths of the federalists. So that these are the mouths you have around him. And you have a president, Chiroma, for sure, federalists are going to have cabinet posts there. That one is clear. But my understanding after 7 years, if not
Well,
9 years,
not that I disagree with you, but don't you think that is if Chiroma is depending on the Federalists or listening to the voices of Federalists, don't you think it makes a mistake because the people who are running the war are the independentists? No single Federalist out there can tell a fighter on the ground to lay down
there we go.
his
There we
arms.
go.
No.
That is what I
So
want to
if he
say.
has to solve the problem, where to go to is go to the independentists and say, how can we resolve it? If he goes after federalists, he fails.
That's what I'm trying to say. It is that if you start with John Funde, that's federalism, and you Agbobala, that is federalism. But now in the dungeons of Konengi, you have President Ayuk Tabe who is there. You know, you have Sisiko Ayuk Tabe, you have a war cabinet that's there. You have a world government that is there. So that is something that has to be taken into account. It means, in terms of finding a partner to discuss with, those partners are in Yaoundé. He doesn't have to look even abroad. It's a moment of duty when he mentions Chris. But for sure, he should have mentioned, I don't hate you, Chris. I think he should have mentioned Sisiku Ayuk Tabe. He should have mentioned those who are incarcerated in Konengi because that is the leadership. That's my reading.
Well, that is your opinion. Before I let Ebine come in here, that is your opinion. The people in jail are not the leadership. This is what we are saying, Patrice. If Chiroma or anybody who wants to resolve the conflict really honestly wants to do that, release those in jail unconditionally. On day number 1 or day number 2, release them unconditionally. And you know what will happen after that? Those in jail will then meet those outside and say, hey, let's put our heads together. Let's get one message. Let's get one direction. That is the way it will be. So if he picks them and think that and do the same thing that Biya is doing, picking people here and there, bribing them and dividing others, of course, Ambazonians will say, this war is not over. Chris Ano will say, you know what? This cannot be over. This is not the way you resolve it. And I bet you, those in jail cannot tell those boys in the bushes, lay down your arms. They will not.
There we
So
go.
it's not a way to resolve it. Let me pass it to Ebini.
Here's the thing. You use the right word for Chiruma. I never knew that's to say, as we mature in life, there are certain things, if it doesn't go against your core principles and value system, don't always say never in certain things, because you're right. there is no way I could have thought that I would be anywhere talking about supporting a man like Chiruma to be anything. But that's what is in front of us.
Exactly.
Whether we like it or not, if we truly want something to move, he is the only person amongst the whatever presented itself as a platform for presidential candidate that seemed to have the balls. He's the criminal that we must use to get the bigger criminals. And he's hitting the right note so far, right?
He is.
Going to Bamenda, that thing he pulled in Bamenda, it's a biggie. Whether he's joking or whatever as a politician and all the like, but it did him a lot of favors. Whether people like it or not, for him to have the courage, when even the Southern Cameroonians or Anglophones who were on the platform running for president could not dare to go and pull such a stunt like he pulled at the time when there was a terrible risk. We know all what happened when they called for lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. He went and did that thing, calling Chris Anu as his friend, his best friend, not only a friend, but a best friend. And that he talked to him to protect him as he was going there. And you know what? That did a lot for the Chris Anu's platform, because even most of the people who were not distancing themselves from us and coming to a platform like this, calling us terrorists, they were rushing to come and make their points of view on this channel. So here's the thing: you talk about appointing. We are not ignorant, or we are not dishonest to know that we have our own in-house problems as Ambazonians. We know the intrigues of the federalists amongst us. We know the intrigues of the unionists amongst us. And we have some of us who are still here talking, we have gone through the path of that federalism up to where things are right now. Some people said, I wrote something when somebody said that, I tried to say something and somebody said that Chiruma has vindicated himself. Now, the error, like you tried to do it here, Patrice, to say that we shouldn't go to the past. We are here, I'm sure that Chris and myself and many other Ambazonians want Chiruma to win, to become, we want Paul Biya to go. Because we also have our own regional and personal interests in seeing change in La République du Cameroon. We want it, I mean, we like we read in our history book, they say a drowning man would clutch at a serpent to save himself. That's how we see things. I have an interest from when this campaign started. I have an interest in seeing change in Cameroon for Biya to go, and I campaign with most of the candidates to advocate for the unconditional release of our prisoners, and ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, and all of those things. The only person who came close, I talk to people in the background, the person who is singing that song is Chiruma. And so some people naively say, whether he's going to appoint federalists or Ambazonians and a minister or whatever, that's not what we are looking for. Some people say that he has vindicated himself. I said, no, he has not vindicated himself.
It's far
He
from
is
that.
far from it.
Why did
The political song that is pulling is good to get rid of Biya, but not vindication. His actions, when he becomes a president, would vindicate him, not the words that he's saying right now. So we are 100%, Chris and myself and some other Ambazonians, even though we are very vigilant and we know these people, including even you, my friend Patrick, whom I love very much, with the brains of Francophones, we know how you guys can switch very easily. So, to tell you the truth, we are supporting, we want Biya gone. We want Chiruma or whoever to become president. And we would hold Chiruma to promise us to meet up with some of the things, the statements he has made now. That is where we are going with it. And we are for the long haul. We want to see him win.
Yeah.
But if he's going to think that we are doing this for ministerial positions and all the like, then he's deceiving himself.
No, you make a very articulate point there, Comrade Ebony. This is not about positions. Absolutely not. I listened to one francophone audio message. It was forwarded to me because somebody heard my name mentioned in it. It was naming Chiroma's cabinet, and Chris Anu is named as the prime minister, and Sisiko Heyoktafe is foreign minister, and I just laughed. I just laughed. I like everybody out there to listen to the sound of my voice. We're not fighting for positions in La République du Cameroon. We consider it a foreign country. All we want is a situation where we can sit down. If our people agree on federation, if it is independence, maybe, Chiroma is out there talking about a referendum, and I like that idea. I will wish that he puts it on the table in a referendum and let Ambazonian choose. That's all we're looking for. That's all we're looking for. And I hope that the words, as Ebony has said, which he is putting out right now, he will leave it when the moment comes.
Yeah, I would prefer to hear the word partial referendum, because a referendum is quite tricky there. Maybe a referendum in the whole of Cameroon. So it means
No, you're right. You are right. But again, that's what we're saying. We'll wait to see the kind of referendum. We're not looking for a referendum that says, do you want to a 10-state federation or you want a 2-state federation? No, that is not a referendum. And that referendum must only take place in Ambazonia for Ambazonians.
A partial referendum.
I think Patrick, what you're saying, the referendum that needs all of Cameroon, like with the francophones, among the francophones, is what was being advocated during the tripartite. You remember?
Yes, of course.
Conference Nationale Souveraine.
Yeah.
And the issue of souverain and sans objet, you remember those terms that we were using in those days. So the CPDM were saying that Conference Nationale sans objet, while the people were saying that the conference must be sovereign, and sovereign meaning that it was an opportunity to re-establish the independence of the nation, which is still under the clause of France. That's why the word sovereign was coming. The people coming and claiming their independence, not the pseudo independence that they have been living under. Because Biya is president of our country because France wants him to be there. And forgive me, because some Ambazonians might see me saying this and say our country, Cameroon we are still within Cameroon. Let's be realistic. So we have established our nation, we want our own free nation, but everything about us is still Cameroon, and it will be foolish for us to say that we have nothing to do with La République.
Exactly.
No, that is absolutely... Patrick, go on, please.
Yes, there's something I'd like to add, to what my dear Chris said. It is, it was a setup to have a panel in which I made, I talk with Chris, because obviously I agree with him on everything.
I know you are more Ambazonian than Francophone, but
from the moment of from the moment when I was expelled, because he is the one with whom I did the first interview, and actually he's actually the door that I use, if you want, the welcoming door into Amazonia, and he may have forgotten. He brought me to some places there. I don't know.
I don't remember that.
I was thinking back then, who are those people who are abducting me, because I did not know them. And we were driving, back there in Maryland and some funky places. In any case, we agree on all points. What I would like to say is the following: it's that you have a president, Chiroma, an AMBA delegation comes and to meet him. So it is essential to know who the people will be who are going to meet him, because he should not be the one choosing the folks to come to him. So far, he has been choosing. And I actually remember when I was in London, he was communicating, it was 2019. Chiroma was already communicating with Amber back then already. So for me, it was a surprise because I never liked him. And so it was a surprise that Ambers will communicate with him, on a constant basis. And now I was quite relieved when in Bamenda he actually acknowledged it, saying that, he has been communicating, etc., because, that's something I saw myself. So the point I'm trying to make is that he has been the one choosing the people to talk to. And that balance has to shift, it has to change. Because as long as he is the one choosing his partners, you will not be able to ask him to make him do what you want. Because he is not meeting the people who are actually contenders. He is actually meeting essentially friends, people he can call his friends. Like you call me, I'm Patrice, etc. So we essentially agree on most points, if not all of them. It has to change. The other thing that I think is important, and that is why I had this T-shirt here. When I came, I did not have it, and I changed quickly. Chassement.
What does that mean? I don't understand. I don't understand French.
Shazabam is zero party that the red card.
What does that
Chassement.
mean? What does Chazebang mean? Explain, please.
Is to chase Pobia out.
Oh,
Exactly, to
okay,
chase Phobia out.
okay.
So it is the principle that unites Amber and Francophones. For the moment, it is actually the best moment we've ever had because you don't have any infighting, any accusation against Francophones. You did this, you did it, etc. It's one of the
I
few
think, I
moments.
think, I think we do. I think we do, and I will
We do.
explain to
We
you.
do. We
Comrade
do.
Ebini, you sent me.
But do you want me to
Yeah,
finish the point about Chassement at least?
huh?
Yeah, yeah. The point is that Chassement is based on what I call in general Amber Franco alliance. We need to have an alliance if we want Chiroma to win, because so far, to be realist as well, he is not president.
That I agree. That I agree. Anything that will chase out beer, that I agree.
You see,
However, our problem is for 9 years. For 9 years, except a few people like you that I must appreciate. A very few people like you. The majority of francophone celebrities, the musicians. I mean, I have seen like 3 music clips out there already, sensitizing people, telling people to fight, chase beer. And you know that in that country, the majority of musicians are francophones. I did not see a single clip, music clip, telling the regime you have to stop the pogroms in the southern Cameroon, sensitizing the francophone population to what is happening in Ambazonia. I did not see a single francophone politician call for ghost towns or lockdowns in that territory to sensitize the people in francophone areas of what is happening in
let me ask
Ambazonia.
you,
Nothing. So what
okay,
surprises me is right now, even though we are inclined to doing it, but right now they all want us to fight.
no, let me change what I was trying to say. I'll phrase it differently. Because we are all realists. The first thing is that Chiroma is not president yet. Now,
Yes.
the second thing is that, and I said it at the beginning, he has managed to make the Grand North, Extreme North, North, and Adamawa actually secede. You could see that one after another, the 3 regions actually became ebullient. So Adamawa and Gaundere fell yesterday. So you've never seen, Chris, in 20 years, actually since 1992, you've never seen people of the North, Northerners, actually go on the street. Have you ever? No. So what we are having here is a de facto manifestation in those regions of what has been happening in Amazonia as well. That is what I call an Amber Franco alliance.
I
So
agree with that alliance. I agree with that
you don't want to lose
completely.
that. Wait a minute, you don't want to lose that by thinking of any random singer who did not talk about you. You look at those people who now de facto are essentially your friends, are essentially your partners. What are you going to do to keep them in line? That is my question.
We will get there, but it is good that you brought that up. Let's get back to the subject of this discussion. We are saying that Chiroma has to look past the days of protest. in La République du Cameroon after the Constitutional Council proclaims Paul Biya the winner of the election. And one of the strategy should be, in my opinion, declare the Grand North, the three regions in the North, under his leadership, right?
We agree on that. We agree
Rule
on
the
that.
country from there.
Yeah, that's why I talked about a de facto secession, right? And
Yeah.
don't also forget that Chiroma has been one of the drafters of what they used to call the Memorandum of the North, of the Northerners. So
Yeah.
he even has a very regional understanding of the fight. We can expand that towards the Sahel because Sahel is actually now a very interesting place. Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, etc. You have a coalition that's possible there, And I think if Chiroma puts his feet in the ground and understands that we have seven regions that are seceding, the fight against Biya can start. That is what I call chassement.
What does it,
So, so
did
is
you think there?
the presidency, the residency, the presidential resident in the north still functional?
The old one, I think we have it, de facto new one now is the house of Chiroma because he has a guard. And you may have seen those guards are now more and more armed. They are organized. They are actually what you had in Amba in 2019. You remember those moments of poetry.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Okay. Well, our position here, I think we should be talking more of the non-violent resistance and how long
No, no,
how
no,
long
no,
it's
no.
gonna take. No. Chris, I understand. There are certain things that are spoken in the background. You don't have to bring it up here in the open.
We are
So
not
let's
talking
be
about
talking about.
violence. We're not talking. We are not talking about violence. We're talking about organized leadership. You can take over that country by just simply declaring, "I am the president of
Your monologue.
Cameroon," and if Biya doesn't want to leave Yaoundé, I will rule from the north.
Your monologue states it very well. I cannot wait to have a copy, which I'll take segment of your monologue and begin to add different things in different, like you've laid the template. We can talk of that monologue now. And you asked about what we are going to do with this Charlemagne and alliance between Francophones and we are already doing it. We are
Okay.
demonstrating it. Chris has been a voice. We've been for decades the voice of talking about our issues, whether it's in the capacity of leadership or just citizenship. We have been doing that, and although we've seen blocks of people blocking, or we use the blocking method for resistance and all the like, when this election came, some of us did not really want to say go vote or don't vote. Wanted it to just be for our people to decide, but they had to do what they had to do. But we show support, and we are not only showing support with just
Yeah.
the mouth and analysis. I have contributed money. I mean, even if it's little, I saw a list of money that they are collecting money, and I put some money there. And I'm sure that our people are going to do that. And what Chris is saying, which is very genuine, is that you guys too should give us the space to lament. We are
Okay.
supporting. There is not it would be cowardice for us to come and we are shouted out not to express our pains
Yeah.
and our regrets and our dissatisfaction
Yeah.
for
So the
how
thing,
you have watched us being killed, and you sat quiet. When I'm saying you know what I'm talking. Patrick, you are our member.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I need to charge my putting the charger.
but at the same
Don't
time, I
worry,
can
I'll
also,
get disrupted a little.
at the same time, I am a punching bag.
So what I'm saying is that you are a person that we already gave you citizenship of Ambazonia. I don't know if your country has set dual nationality, so you might be both. So you're already part of us. And when we talk about the Francophones, even though we know that the same Francophone thing is in you too, you're only fighting it. All of us as human beings, we were embedded with the spirit of evil and good. in us. It's
Yeah.
for the individual to determine which one we want to push.
Yeah.
We
So
can be as
you have to organize your camera better, because now we are seeing only half your face.
okay, Chris. How am I doing?
No, you are cut off once. No. You are okay. Okay, you just centralize your image in the camera. Just centralize your
Okay,
image in the camera.
Yeah.
is that good?
While
Yeah,
he's
come
doing that,
further this way.
Am I good?
Further to your left. To your left. To your left. Move to your left.
so the moment you
Is
yes,
that good?
more,
A
more,
little
more,
bit more. A little bit more.
yeah, more,
More to your left.
more. Essentially, more. Okay, so we have half your face now. So in any case, the moment you are organizing
You
it,
have my face now.
yeah,
You are cut on your chest. No, the other way. The other way. The other way. More. Good. Leave it there. Leave it
excellent,
there.
Okay.
excellent.
Good.
So the thing, since you were distracted, I'm simply going to jump here and say that the North is a very interesting place. The Sahel, it's a very politically, it's a very interesting place.
No,
So
but Patrick, hold on, man, hold on, because when we are talking to, we should know how to manage also the sentiments and the feelings of our own people, our own constituents. So, as Chiroma did, I think
now that,
Francophones too, instead of trying to numb us not to express our disappointment and pains for all these 9 years going 10 years, the Francophone citizens who want to work with us too, or who want us to help at this time, should also express that sentiments and regrets, even if it's just by word of mouth. Our people were slaughtered, man, by the military of La Republique, and our brothers and sisters of that region sat quiet
so here is
for
something.
9 years.
Here is something I'm going to suggest, and I think it is important to for you to also be able to listen to me there. It is that if you talk about realism, the realism asks for a post-BIA investigation into the crimes. So the question will therefore be, can a president, Issa Chiruma, be a president who is investigating the crimes committed during the moment when he himself was minister? You see. So therefore, I am simply thinking, okay, you can exhaust yourself in crying, but it will be necessary for us to sit down and walk through those bodies, walk through those mass graves, and ask for accountability from Cameroon. But we don't want to address those issues now because Chiroma is not president yet. You see, he's not president yet, and of course, if the moment he chooses the some Cameroonians he meets, he is going to avoid those who will raise difficult issues. You
Let me
see,
get
This our cry is not dependent on Chiroma becoming president.
okay.
It is a big pain that is in us towards Francophones. So it's not about Chiroma becoming president. And the best thing that Francophones can do right now is, instead of trying to shut it down, understand it, validate it, and we move on together.
There
Let's
is
move
one other.
past this and
There
get
is
back
one.
to the subject of the proclamation of the elections. Patrice, what are you hearing out there in La République du Cameroon why the proclamation was postponed from Thursday to Monday? And even today, some people believe we may not get the results on Monday.
Yes, so there is one thing I would like us to talk about though, and these are the few things that Chiroma did that are important to mobilize francophones, because you may have noticed francophones are totally demobilized. So we have a constituency in those regions where politicians, not only politicians who are in Southern Cameroons, but in amongst francophones as well, the Camto type, who are simply taking people for granted. So they simply take people's activism for granted. They simply take people's money, time for granted, their lives for granted, etc. And essentially, people moved away from that. That's one aspect. The other aspect is that we have politicians or social leaders, let us put it that way, that lack courage. The courage, for instance, to call citizens to draft a call to action because they are afraid to be called terrorists or rebellious. And in the constitution of Cameroon, rebellion is something for which you will go to jail. So they are afraid of being targeted and of being put in jail. What is particular about Chiroma is that he was in jail already for 7 years in Cholere. He was in jail, incarcerated by Paul Biya. And that is important. And therefore, it just seems to me that what he did is not simply to declare that he's president. He did it 2 days ago and he did it today again. It is to call people to action. On Sunday, the 26th, you have, meaning essentially Chiroma asking everybody to go out. And I hope on the basis of a popular uprising, people will go out and express their anger, express their love, express their passion, express what they feel and think on Sunday the 26th. That's what I want to say. And it is a change. It is something on which I think he agrees fundamentally with Southern Cameroonians, because that is how the battle in Southern Cameroon started.
There is a line of thought out there that what is holding the announcement of the official results is a negotiation between the two camps to figure out an exit strategy for the Biya's regime. You have men like Atanganji, Ngongo, Chantal Biya, who would want promises for a smooth exit. What do you guys think about this? Is it a possibility? Ebini?
Well, we don't know all the things that are going on behind the scenes, and that should be going on. That's okay. That's normal. It's very possible for people to be very afraid for the things that they have done. They have watched what has happened to other leaders in other countries who were not granted passage or pardon to remain in their country. The people know what they have done to the citizens of Cameroon and the nation itself, and so they should be very concerned. And if such negotiations are going on, then fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. But if they are not going on, they should also, even if they were not going on, there was going to be a smooth transition, they will still be having some arrangements behind the scenes. All of these things are not normally done in public for everybody to see. There are certain aspects that are things that are confidential state issues that should not be for every common eye. So I'm hoping that what you're saying and what we are hearing is true, to avoid unnecessary pain to our citizens and to the nation, because whatever happens in Cameroon would also affect us in Ambazonia. We know that good things that happen there, like a change of a good leader, let me not say a good leader, but a leader who is sympathetic towards our cause. It's a good thing. It's something we should encourage. And we are in this, some of us are in this with the hope that something different than what we have lived with Paul Biya would come out of this.
I think I do not believe that there is any negotiation between the two camps behind. I don't think it is fun. I think it is a smoke screen there, because the Biya regime, and actually the Francophone regime we have in Cameroon, has always worked on what is called the fait accompli. Fait accompli is de facto. It is simply you come and you realize the home is already clean, and that's it. You move on. So what they are working on is a fait accompli of declaring Biya the victor and saying it is a facto. Let's move on. It's done. And it disappears for 2 years. People don't see him anymore. Now, I have a question, for instance, to substantiate what I just said. It is, you have a constitutional, council where people always go because they have complaints about elections, etc. So my question is, what complaint was successful? What request was successful? Zero, exactly zero. So my banal remark is, why will Cameroonians who are, STF for Francophone, Anglophone, they say, why would they go there since they know all their requests actually are nullified? Why would they do that? Even the Supreme Court in the United States, where we know it's totally biased towards conservatives, you have some requests that are accepted. Even in terms of routine, some of them are accepted. In the Constitutional Court of Cameroon, it is exactly zero. Zero. All requests are denied, are refused, and tossed in a dustbin. So with it just seems to me, with the smoke screen, people who say things like that, saying that there is a negotiation between the two camps, they simply want to demobilize the people Chiroma is trying to reawaken. They are doing their best to have people stay at home. They are doing their best to have people not be concerned. Because also, maybe the last thing I'm going to mention, let us not forget, Chris, I think you saw yourself the number of voters. Let us even take it as, as a number, because I said before, it has no value. But we can agree at least on something. People did not go out to vote. It is one of those elections where I think participation, yeah, I mean, Cameroon has a population of close to 20 million. Even if that population is made mostly of people who are 20 years old, it should be shocking that only 2 million people went to vote. It should be shocking. And that is very low. That is very low. It means people's disenfranchisement is so high that they simply feel it has no value, no goal, no need to even participate in those actions. So what Chiroma is trying to do, and those who were actually complicit in that were mostly northerners. So what Chiroma is doing, and I think it also happened in line with what Southern Cameroonians did. It is to reawaken that space. You remember you were in that space in that moment as well in Southern Cameroon, right? When John Fundy was boycotting everything.
True, true.
He was essentially simply boycotting.
Yeah.
And the difference is that Chiroma, as an insider, knows the intrigues of the institutions in place, and
Yes, he
it's not
does.
going along. The problem with John Fundi is that he got into confusion where there was a time when they were doing the vote count. When he rises, he would withdraw his case that he has submitted, and then when he's dropping, he would submit. So there was that confusion with him. But I'm seeing a little bit of a steady hand here, where he has said that it's a waste of time to respect any of the existing institutions in place, because if you take, for instance, they say the Constitutional Council, there are 9 members, right? There are 9 members.
Yeah, 11.
Uh,
11, I think.
11, and I hear that out of the 11, I think 9 or 10 are CPDM members. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Yes, but just to come back to Chiroma, any political leader of that stature needs to have a ground operation. And since Chiroma was in the government for so long, you bet he doesn't have a strong ground operation. So mobilizing people now, that is what he is essentially doing. It is canvassing. It is actually recruiting, if you want. Having people come towards him and building up an operation. You will realize that that is generosity, because he simply doesn't have an operation. I'm sure he surprised himself by the fact that he is where he is now. because I
And most of the people supporting him are not doing so because they like him or trust him.
exactly. So he's still building up. What John Fundy had was a ground operation, even if it disappeared step by step. But he had a ground operation. Chiroma doesn't have it, because when you've worked for BR for more than 10 years, really, your ground operation is simply there for the belly, and it simply disappears. If you don't give food, people simply go. Having him now as a political leader, as a force in the north, as somebody who actually can unite, and I insist on that, unite on purpose, not in principle, not organically, simply on the purpose of chasing BR from power, unite people from Southern Cameroons, people from the north, people, Bamileke people, etc. So it is important to see through that there's a ground operation that is being formed, that's being built. And I think if we take it seriously, we will help the liberation of Cameroon as well, and indeed the liberation of Southern Cameroons.
All right, you guys hold on there. There is this breaking story emerging from Cameroon as we are
Yeah, by
learning.
the way,
We are learning that this evening, security forces in Cameroon arrested Issa Chiroma's top collaborators in Anisette Ekane and Jekam Chamene.
uh,
Chamini, Jacob Chamini.
Yes, they were picked up. I think those are the two guys, right? You guys know them.
and
Yes,
yes,
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, so we are getting report that they were picked up this evening and they are currently in the in detention. That is what is emerging from the ground right now. Maybe you guys want to weigh in on that.
Well,
well, please go ahead.
go ahead, Patrick.
Yes, okay, okay. I know, I think, Canaan is saying, for many years, I would say, I think, and Jokam Chamini, they are twins, and I was always surprised that they did not publicly work with each other because they're essentially ideological twins. They have a similar story. They go back to the 90s, Cap Liberté and Manidem, essentially UPC. Back then, these are branches of UPC. So I am essentially not surprised that they were arrested. No Cameroonian is surprised when somebody is arrested. What the BR government is trying to do is to weaken the ground operation of Issa Chiroma.